Welcome to Western Fins, your go-to podcast for all things outdoors where the Rockies meet the plains. Join us as we explore the vast and vibrant landscapes of Colorado, Wyoming, and Nebraska, delving into warm water fishing, waterfowl pursuits, and big game hunting. From casting lines to sitting in the blind, our expert hosts share tips, tricks, and stories to ignite your passion for the great outdoors. Whether you're a seasoned angler, seasoned hunter, or just starting your journey, gear up and join us on an unforgettable expedition into the Wild West on Western Fins.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Western Fins podcast. Thanks for joining us again on today's episode. Today we're going to be talking all things walleye spawn. The spawn is on. In some areas we're already wrapping up. Some areas we haven't started yet, but man, we're close. I was out a couple times this week, really early, really late, obviously fishing spawn through the night, and some good things are happening. Starting to see the walleye up on the rocks, starting to see them moving. Obviously it's a timing dependent bite. With that being said, let's jump into it. So if you follow Colorado Parks and Wildlife at all, they've posted this last week that they wrapped up their spawning operations at both Cherry Creek and Pueblo. Really, really great program. Collects all of our eggs for the state of Colorado. Also ships eggs off elsewhere. I've had the privilege and opportunity to be involved in that in a past life, and thankfully, had the opportunity to go down there, experience it. It's a really, really cool thing that they do. This year they collected almost 120 million eggs. You heard that right, 120 million eggs, just between Pueblo and Cherry Creek. That's a great, great brood stock for our future years. And those little walleye will hopefully be coming to a lake near you soon. That's what they use to stock all of our front range lakes, other lakes throughout the state that are dependent on the stocking for year classes of fish. So looking at that, you're looking kind of at that I-70 line in the state of Colorado and south. The spawn's been full swing here for a couple weeks. They've been on the rocks. They're up in shallow, doing their thing, and that's been good to see. In addition to down south, Larimer County the Larimer County Parks Department has now closed the inlet at Horsetooth in order to protect those spawning walleye. Be aware of that. It's closed through May, so please make sure you note where you can be. Same thing with Cherry Creek as well, or other spawning reservoirs throughout the year. When they do have the nets out and they're doing spawn operations, you can't fish in those areas during certain times of day, so make sure you read your updates and your regulations on those. We're really starting to see this spawn going in the front range of Colorado, especially northern lakes north of I-70. Like I said, south of I-70, we've been going for a couple weeks now. As you head further north into Wyoming and Nebraska, there are a few guys and reports of fish up on the rocks. Real spotty at best, dependent. We're getting close to that water temp. We're getting obviously close to the time of the year where it should be going. These cold spells that we keep having, it seems like every weekend. We have a nice week, and then the weekend comes, and we're getting a cold spell with some snow or at least some cold rain. Those are kind of mixing things up a little bit, changing things up a little bit for us, but if you spend the time on the water, you'll obviously get your lure in front of some fish. And again, early in the morning, as early as you can get up, or stay up all night. That's really when the fish are going during that nighttime period at this time of year. When we look at walleye spawn, we're really looking at three things that the old timers key in on. The tried and true things you're looking for are your water temperature, timing. Obviously, we're in that window from mid-March through mid-April really is when and it's going on, and moon phases. If you get a full moon, fish seem to be more active on those nights, I found at least. all tried and true time of year methods. You want to look for that low to mid 40-degree water temperature, and the fish should really start moving in shallow. First fish you'll see appear are males. So as we get towards the spawn here in our Wyoming, Nebraska, and northern Colorado areas, you'll start to see your males first on the rocks. That's what we're starting to see now. Real spotty, depending on the lake size and the water temp, on what's appearing in those northern areas. Like I said, southern areas, we're full go. Some of the things we look at, so where, when, and how for catching these spawning fish. Where? Look for the rocks. Typically in our coverage area, this is meaning a lot of the dam areas where you can fish them. Certain areas you obviously can't fish the dam. That's you can't be within 100 feet of the dam or whatever that might be. But look for those rocks. As you get into Wyoming, certain areas in Nebraska that have flows into reservoirs, the flows are never a bad thing to look for, where you can find the flow with the rocks. That's why you find the spawning walleye in the inlet at Horsetooth. There's flow in, there's rocks. That comes together for a perfect combination for those fish to spawn. Again, be sure you know the regulations of your lake. You don't want to get into a situation where you think you're good to fish and you're not good to fish on the dam there. Really make sure you know those regulations. When this is really a 95+% night bite. When I mean night, I mean get there at half hour before sunset and stay as late as you can, or get up early and go well before sunrise. Spend the time at night this time of year. When I fish, again, I plan to arrive about an hour before dark and leave well after midnight. Make sure you pack a light. Make sure you have ample things that'll help you see at night. Obviously, scrambling on the rocks is dangerous. Take your time. Don't rush it. Again, this is night bite, so it can be real tricky and finicky to figure out. Looking at what typically works this time of year and what I've had success on, I've had one of these three baits be really successful. Some nights, you might have one that you can sit there and catch 30, 40 fish. Some nights you might catch 0 fish and you switch up and you're getting hit right away. But these three baits are my favorites. My number one favorite is a minnow bait, a stick bait. You're looking at, for example, a Bandit shallow diver, the original Rapalas, 4 to 6 inches long, reef runners, whatever they might be. You really want to target the 4 to 8 feet depth, and you want to go right along the rocks. So you don't want to cast out away from the rocks. You want to cast down horizontally to the rocks, and really should be hitting the rocks. Count on losing lures this time of year. You're going to be running into rocks, whatever you're using. The likelihood is you'll lose a lure or two, so be prepared for that. Come with backups of the same color. When I'm fishing the minnow baits or the stick baits, I like to use the Fire Tiger color this time of year. You can be successful on other colors. I've just had the best luck on that. Silver with a black back. That also can be real successful, but variations of the perch coloration seem to be very, very successful this time of year. You can look at different diving depths as well. If you have a real steep dam area or rock area, might be worth trying, that, especially earlier in the night or later in the night as you get towards morning, around that dawn dusk time. Might be worth trying a 8 to 15 foot diver, trying to target some different depths. Number 2 bait that I like is a old tried and true jig head and a twisty tail plastic. You can't go too big this time of year. You're really going for that reaction bite, so you kind of want to get where the fish are, get down to depth quickly. This is the one where I would count on for sure losing at least 3 to 5 jigs. It's not uncommon to run across, rocks when you're bouncing them off the rocks. Snags are very, very common. Just be prepared for that. Make sure you have your light to tie up. I really like running a white twisty tail, glow twisty tail this time of year. You can also use paddle tails. There's some success on that. A lot of guys really enjoy those. Twisty tail for me has been the tried and true Mr. Twister 3-inch version, just a single tail grub. Number 3, and one of my favorite baits, is using a jerkbait. So jerkbaits this time of year are highly effective. Again, they're a reactionary bait. You're looking at kind of pissing the fish off and making them want to bite. How can you trigger that bite? So cast it out, again, fanning out, really working horizontal to the rocks and using the structure that you have there. Working it slow, cast, give it 3 good cranks, a couple pops, let it get down to depth and pause for a second, and then crank, pop, pause. That can be really, really effective this time of year. The fish seem to trigger on it. Again, it's my number 3 because I like the other 2 a little bit better. That's just a personal preference. However, there are some days and nights where that is off the charts and works fantastically. Those are the 3 baits I would use for targeting the spawn at night. There are some other really effective methods that I have seen work incredibly well, especially on Lake McConaughey during walleye spawn. It has worked on other lakes. You just have to be more selective with where you're targeting these fish. The other things I've seen be really successful are vertical jigging, 3-inch jig, and gold and silver color. Those 3-inch slab jigs is what I'm talking about. Those can be really successful early if you can't stay late. If you have to go, before dark and get home, or you can only fish in the morning. Once you get to the lake, pick a point right close to the rocks, just out from the rocks, in anywhere between 8 to 20 feet of water. Find a pot of fish using your electronics and vertical jig. Really work that bait slow. Make sure you're on a group of fish. If you find fish that aren't biting, move. It's okay to move. There will be fish stacked up wherever you're fishing as long as you're close to that rock structure. Again, I've seen that be very successful, seen it be a total miss. It totally depends on the body of water and what the fish want and the time of day. As we move on past the spawn, we'll talk in our next and upcoming episodes about post-spawn walleye as we get into our warmer water in our summer months. Those are upcoming. Thank you again for joining us on Western Fins today. Please stay tuned. Share with your friends, like and subscribe as we continue to grow. And as always, good luck, tight lines, and heavy straps. Thank you for listening to Western Fins.